Let's face it, women don't always go for the guy who seems perfect on paper. In fact, the men who often win their attention and keep it aren't necessarily the ones who tick all the conventional boxes of attractiveness, success, or charisma. Why? Because women aren't always looking for normal. They're drawn to the unusual, the traits that make a man stand out in a way that they just can't ignore. The truth is, women chase certain weird traits in men that most guys don't even realize they have. And if you learn to lean into these quirks, you might find yourself becoming irresistible. Here's the controversial kicker. Being too nice or too predictable can work against you. It's boring. Women are wired to crave intrigue, and guys who are just like everyone else don't create that spark of curiosity. Instead, it's the men who show traits that are unexpected, a little mysterious, or even outright strange who captivate their attention. These are the guys who seem to have an almost magnetic pull, not because they're trying too hard, but because they dare to be different. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how the guy who seems a little odd, maybe he has a quirky sense of humor, a unique way of dressing, or an unconventional way of thinking, always has women gravitating toward him? It's because he stands out in a sea of sameness. While other men are trying to blend in, he's confident in his individuality. And confidence in your weirdness is incredibly attractive. This isn't about being fake or trying to force eccentricity. It's about recognizing that some of the traits you've been told to suppress or change might actually be the ones that make you unforgettable. The traits that make women look twice, lean in, and want to know more about you. So in this video, we're diving deep into the weird traits that women chase in a guy. By the end of this, you'll understand why it's time to stop trying to be normal and start embracing the traits that make you uniquely you. 1. Being mysterious is more attractive than being open. Let's be real, women don't want to know everything about you right off the bat. The more you open up too quickly, the less intriguing you become. In fact, being too open from the start can actually hurt your chances with her. Why? Because mystery creates desire. When you're mysterious, she's left wanting more. And that longing, that's what keeps her coming back. When you give away everything about yourself too soon, it's like showing all your cards in a game. There's no challenge, no excitement. But when you keep things a bit hidden, it makes her work to learn more about you. And that's where the attraction builds. Women are wired to be curious. And if you're too transparent, you don't leave any room for that curiosity to grow. Think about the guys who seem to have a natural pull. They don't wear their hearts on their sleeves, and they don't talk about their life story in the first conversation. Instead, they drop hints, keep their lives interesting, and hold back just enough to keep her guessing. This kind of behavior makes her feel like she has to earn your trust and time. It's a powerful position to be in. Take, for example, a guy who is naturally funny but doesn't explain every little detail of his jokes. Instead, he leaves room for interpretation. This makes her think about what he said long after the conversation ends. She's trying to figure out his deeper meanings, and that mystery adds layers to his personality that she finds irresistible. The more she thinks about you, the more she's drawn to you. The key is not to be an open book from day one. Withhold details about your past, your emotions, and even your plans. This doesn't mean being cold or rude, but rather keeping some parts of your life private and letting her discover them over time. The longer she has to work for it, the more she'll appreciate you, and the more desire she'll feel. Being mysterious isn't about playing games. It's about letting her learn about you slowly, bit by bit, so that the attraction doesn't fade too quickly. Keep a little mystery, and watch how much more interesting you become to her. 2. Not caring about what she thinks makes you irresistible. If you're constantly worried about what she thinks, you're already losing. Women are attracted to men who don't seek validation from anyone, especially not from them. When you stop caring about her opinion, that's when you start to gain her respect and attention. Why? Because women are drawn to men who are confident in themselves, who have their own lives, passions, and boundaries. When you're too focused on what she thinks of you, you become predictable and desperate. It's clear that you're trying to win her approval, and that's a turnoff. Instead, focus on being the best version of yourself, independent of her approval. When you're genuinely comfortable in your own skin, without seeking her validation, it creates a natural attraction. You become someone who doesn't need her, but someone she wants. Think of the guys who seem to have a magnetic pull without even trying. They don't change their behavior based on her mood or what she says. They walk into a room like they own it, not because they're arrogant, but because they know their worth. This self-assurance is extremely attractive. It's the opposite of insecurity, which women pick up on instantly. For example, imagine a guy who's at a party and is approached by a woman. Instead of immediately trying to impress her, he simply engages in the conversation, enjoys himself, and doesn't worry about whether she's interested or not. He doesn't need her approval to feel good about himself. His relaxed, unbothered attitude is what makes him stand out. The woman may find herself drawn to him because he's not trying to win her over. He's already complete on his own. The real magic happens when you stop worrying about her judgment. You're not obsessed with whether she likes your outfit, your jokes, or your lifestyle. You're just being yourself. This doesn't mean you act disrespectfully or disregard her feelings. It means you stop making her the center of your universe. By putting less emphasis on what she thinks, you send the message that your happiness isn't dependent on her. When you stop seeking approval, you'll find that women become more attracted to you, not because you're perfect, but because you're real and self-assured. The key to irresistible attraction is simple. Stop trying so hard. 3. Confidence in your quirks is a game changer. Let's be honest, nobody is perfect. We all have our little quirks, those things that make us unique, but also sometimes feel a bit out of place. The funny thing is, women find those quirks incredibly attractive when you're confident about them. The key isn't trying to hide or change what makes you different, it's owning it. The truth is, when you show up as your true self, flaws and all, it becomes magnetic. Women don't want to see a perfectly polished version of you. They want to see the real deal. If you're comfortable with who you are, even the odd, imperfect parts, that confidence speaks volumes. It's not about being arrogant, it's about being secure in your own skin. And that's what makes you stand out in a world full of people trying to fit into one mold. Think about it. How many times have you been attracted to someone because they were unapologetically themselves? When someone owns their quirks with confidence, it doesn't come across as weird or off-putting. It's refreshing. There's a certain charm that comes from a guy who embraces what makes him different without trying to hide it. It's like they've got nothing to prove, whether it's a unique hobby, a specific way of dressing, or just a way of thinking that sets you apart. Embracing these quirks makes you stand out in the best way. The more you try to blend in and be like everyone else, the more forgettable you become. But when you lean into what makes you different, when you're not afraid to show it, you become someone women want to get to know. And here's the thing. When you embrace your quirks with confidence, they no longer feel like flaws. They're part of what makes you, you. It's that unapologetic attitude that's irresistible. Women are attracted to men who don't apologize for who they are. When you're comfortable in your own skin, there's an energy about you that's hard to ignore. It's the kind of energy that draws women in because they can sense that you're not pretending to be someone you're not. So, instead of trying to hide or change your quirks, own them. Let them shine. Confidence in your unique traits is what makes you unforgettable. 4. Being challenging instead of available works wonders. If you're always available, you're already losing the game. Women don't chase after guys who are constantly at their beck and call. Instead, they're drawn to men who have their own lives, who aren't always eager to drop everything for them. Why? Because when you're always available, you start to lose your value. You become predictable and, frankly, a little boring. Being a challenge isn't about playing games or being manipulative. It's about maintaining your own life and not making her your entire focus. Women appreciate a man who's busy, driven, and not constantly seeking her approval or attention. When you show that your time is valuable and that you're not just sitting around waiting for her call, she starts to respect you more. It's the idea of showing that you have a life outside of her, one that's interesting, full of purpose, and that demands your attention. That creates attraction. The key here is balance. You don't want to ignore her completely, but you also don't want to be at her service 24/7. If you're always there to text, call, or hang out whenever she wants, you become easy to take for granted. But if you make her work a little, if you make her earn your time and attention, suddenly, you become more valuable in her eyes. When you're challenging, you're not playing hard to get, but rather, you're setting boundaries and showing that you have standards. You don't need to be constantly present in her life for her to see your worth. This behavior shows that you have a strong sense of self-worth and that you're not desperate for her attention. It signals that you have a life that's full of your own goals, passions, and activities. And the more you focus on yourself, the more attractive you become. Being challenging doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means being in demand. not available at all times, and having a life that keeps you busy. When you do this, she'll see you as a high-value man, someone who's not just there to fill her time, but someone who adds value to her life when you're together. So, stop being so available. Start making her realize that your time is limited, and watch how much more she values your presence. 5. Embrace silence. Talking too much kills attraction. Let's face it, most guys talk too much. You've probably been there, trying to impress a woman, filling every silence with words, desperate to make a connection. The problem? It's a huge turnoff. Women are drawn to men who are comfortable with silence, not the ones who can't stop talking. If you find yourself speaking non-stop, you're not showing confidence. You're revealing insecurity. Silence is powerful. It can communicate more than words ever will. When you're comfortable in a quiet moment, it signals that you don't need to fill the air with constant chatter to feel good about yourself. Most men make the mistake of thinking that the more they talk, the more they'll impress her. But in reality, it just creates noise. Noise that drowns out your true value. Women don't want to hear you talk endlessly about your achievements or your day-to-day life. They want to experience you in a way that's deeper than words. Here's the thing. When you're always talking, you're not giving her the chance to speak, to share her thoughts, or to get to know you on her own terms. You're dominating the conversation. Instead of building a connection, you're turning her off with your verbal overflow. Women want to feel like they're heard, and when you're doing all the talking, you're preventing that from happening. Some guys might think, if I don't keep talking, she'll lose interest. But that's where they're wrong. If you're constantly speaking, you're making her lose interest. Silence lets her take the lead and shows that you're comfortable with the pauses in between. It builds anticipation. It builds attraction. To all the guys out there who think talking non-stop will keep a woman interested, wake up. Stop talking just to fill space. Instead, embrace the silence. Let the moments of quiet reflect confidence, not awkwardness. Learn to sit back, listen, and observe. You don't have to say everything that comes to your mind. Women appreciate a man who doesn't feel the need to over-explain himself or talk endlessly to be understood. If you want her to lean in and pay attention, give her room to want more. Silence is your secret weapon. Use it. 6. Your independence is sexy. Stop being dependent. Let's face it, no one wants to be with someone who's constantly depending on them for validation, attention, or approval. Women, in particular, are attracted to men who have their own lives, their own goals, and their own sense of purpose. If you're constantly relying on her for happiness, direction, or even emotional stability, you're not being attractive. You're being a burden. And that's not sexy. Independence is about more than just financial freedom. It's about having a life that's fully your own. You should have passions, hobbies, friendships, and ambitions that are separate from her. When you have a life outside of the relationship, you're showing that you're whole by yourself, and that's one of the most attractive qualities a man can have. Women want a partner, not someone who needs rescuing. Being independent means you can stand on your own 2 feet, make decisions without constant reassurance, and handle your own emotional ups and downs without dumping them on her. It's about taking responsibility for your own happiness, your own growth, and your own well-being. When you can do this, you exude confidence, strength, and self-sufficiency, traits that women naturally find irresistible. The moment you start depending on her, whether for emotional support, decision-making, or even the validation of your worth, you become less attractive. Why? Because it shows that you don't believe in your own value. Women are drawn to men who are self-sufficient, men who can lead their own lives without needing constant affirmation or emotional support from others. Your independence gives you power in a relationship, and power is undeniably attractive. Dependence also leads to desperation. When you're too attached, too needy, or too dependent, it creates pressure in the relationship. Women sense this and it drives them away. They don't want someone who will always rely on them to feel whole. They want a partner who can stand beside them, but not lean on them for everything. So here's the key. Be independent. Have your own life. Be your own person. Your independence is what makes you unique, strong, and undeniably sexy. When you're not afraid to stand alone, you show her that you're not just there to fill a void. You're there because you choose to be, and that's incredibly powerful. 7. Being ambitious, not perfect, turns her on. Let's stop pretending that perfection is the key to attracting women. Perfection is overrated and, frankly, boring. Women aren't looking for a flawless, perfect man who seems to have it all figured out. What they are drawn to is a man with ambition, someone who has dreams, a drive, and a purpose. Ambition shows that you're going somewhere, that you're not content with where you are, and that you're constantly striving for more. That's the real turn-on. Ambition is magnetic. It's what makes a man exciting, unpredictable, and full of potential. Women love to see that you have goals, a vision for your future, and the passion to chase them. When you're ambitious, you're constantly growing, evolving, and working towards something bigger than yourself. That's the kind of energy that sparks attraction. Perfection, on the other hand, creates stagnation. A perfect man has no flaws, no mistakes, and no room for growth. That might sound appealing on paper, but in reality, it's just dull. Perfection doesn't offer excitement, and it certainly doesn't leave room for a woman to challenge or inspire you. Women don't want a man who's too perfect because, deep down, they know there's no depth to someone who's already got it all. Being ambitious means that you're always pushing yourself, always learning, and always striving to be better. This drive keeps things interesting, keeps her on her toes, and makes her feel that she's part of your journey. It also means that you're not afraid to fail, to make mistakes, or to learn from them. Women find this incredibly attractive because it shows resilience and strength. It shows that you can handle setbacks and that you're not afraid to take risks. The key is not about being perfect. It's about showing up every day with the ambition to better yourself and your life. It's about having a purpose, something that excites you, something that keeps you moving forward. Women are turned on by a man who has a direction, even if that direction isn't perfect yet. When you're ambitious, you radiate energy, passion, and confidence, and that's what truly captivates her. So stop chasing perfection and start embracing your ambition. It's your drive, your hustle, and your passion that will make her chase you. 8. Lack of FOMO. Being busy drives her crazy. You've probably heard it a million times. Women are attracted to men who are busy. But here's the kicker. It's not just about having a packed schedule or being constantly on the grind. It's about having your own life and not being consumed with constantly chasing her attention. And if you're always available, always eager to drop everything for her, you're doing it wrong. When you're constantly available, you're sending a message that your life revolves around her. And here's the truth. Women don't want to feel like they're the center of your universe. It's not attractive. They want a man who has his own passions, goals, and commitments. A man who's busy with his own life yet still values his time with her. This is where the idea of FOMO, fear of missing out, comes into play. If she knows you're out living your life, working on your goals, hanging out with friends, and generally just staying busy, she's going to start wondering what you're up to. She'll get curious. She'll start to want more of your attention. And that's exactly what you want. Her chasing you, not the other way around. When you're not constantly available, you create that subtle tension and desire. Women want to feel like they have to earn your time. They don't want to feel like you're sitting around waiting for their text or call. Being busy shows that you have things going on in your life. It makes you seem more attractive, more independent, and less desperate. Let's be real. If you're always texting back in 30 seconds, always picking up the phone when she calls, and always making yourself available, she'll lose interest. It's too easy. The more you're always around, the less she'll chase you. The less you show your availability, the more she'll wonder what you're doing. And trust me, that curiosity is powerful. Don't get caught up in the trap of thinking that constant attention equals attraction. It doesn't. When you're busy, when you've got a full life outside of the relationship, it creates a magnetic pull that drives her crazy. Women are drawn to men who have their own passions, their own mission, and their own sense of purpose. And when they see you busy living your life, they'll want to be a part of it, not your whole world. 9. Making her work for your attention sparks desire. If you want to spark true desire in a woman, here's the secret. Stop making it so easy for her. That's right. If you're always available, always eager to give her attention whenever she wants it, you're actually killing any real attraction. The key to keeping her hooked? Make her work for your attention. It's not about playing games. It's about creating the right balance of intrigue and challenge that makes her want you more. When you're constantly giving her your attention on a silver platter, it becomes expected. There's no mystery, no excitement, no chase. Women are wired to seek out what's hard to get. They want to feel like they have to earn your attention, your time, and your affection. It's not about being cold or distant, but rather about setting boundaries and not being too available. The moment you make her work for your attention, you're putting yourself in the position of power. It's a psychological trigger that sparks her interest. She starts to wonder why you're not always around. She'll start putting in more effort, texting you first, trying to get your attention, and seeking out your validation. The chase is on, and that's what keeps her coming back for more. Think about it. When something is hard to attain, it becomes more valuable. The more effort she has to put in, the more she will appreciate you. But when it's too easy, she starts taking it for granted. This dynamic keeps things fresh and exciting because it's not just about being in her face 24/7. It's about her feeling like she has to earn your time and attention, and in doing so, she starts to desire you even more. Don't mistake this for being cold or playing hard to get. It's about maintaining your boundaries and showing that you have a life outside of her. When you do that, you instantly become more intriguing. She'll find herself thinking about you more often, wondering when you'll reach out and wondering what you're doing. This curiosity breeds desire, and that desire is what keeps her chasing you. So start making her work for your attention. Hold back a little, let her come to you, and watch how the desire and attraction between you both grows. 9. Making her work for your attention sparks desire. If you want to spark true desire in a woman, here's the secret. Stop making it so easy for her. That's right. If you're always available, always eager to give her attention whenever she wants it, you're actually killing any real attraction. The key to keeping her hooked? Make her work for your attention. It's not about playing games. It's about creating the right balance of intrigue and challenge that makes her want you more. When you're constantly giving her your attention on a silver platter, it becomes expected. There's no mystery, no excitement, no chase. Women are wired to seek out what's hard to get. They want to feel like they have to earn your attention, your time, and your affection. It's not about being cold or distant, but rather about setting boundaries and not being too available. The moment you make her work for your attention, you're putting yourself in the position of power. It's a psychological trigger that sparks her interest. She starts to wonder why you're not always around. She'll start putting in more effort, texting you first, trying to get your attention, and seeking out your validation. The chase is on, and that's what keeps her coming back for more. Think about it. When something is hard to attain, it becomes more valuable. The more effort she has to put in, the more she will appreciate you. But when it's too easy, she starts taking it for granted. This dynamic keeps things fresh and exciting because it's not just about being in her face 24/7. It's about her feeling like she has to earn your time and attention, and in doing so, she starts to desire you even more. Don't mistake this for being cold or playing hard to get. It's about maintaining your boundaries and showing that you have a life outside of her. When you do that, you instantly become more intriguing. She'll find herself thinking about you more often, wondering when you'll reach out and wondering what you're doing. This curiosity breeds desire, and that desire is what keeps her chasing you. So start making her work for your attention. Hold back a little, let her come to you, and watch how the desire and attraction between you both grows. Here's the reality most men won't admit. Being perfect isn't what gets a woman to chase you. In fact, it's your flaws, your independence, your confidence, and your ability to not need her attention that truly makes you magnetic. If you're constantly trying to be the perfect guy, you're missing the point. Women aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for something real, something different. They're drawn to men who are busy, who have their own lives, who make them work for their attention, and who aren't afraid to show vulnerability. If you're not doing this, wake up and make a change. So if you've ever found yourself being too available, too eager, or too predictable, it's time to rethink your approach. Stop chasing her. Stop bending over backward to make her notice you. Instead, focus on yourself, live your life, and let her chase you for a change. Drop a comment below and share your experiences. Have you ever noticed these traits at play in your own life? I'll be reading every comment and reaching out to connect with you.